Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us for the April 2025 Higher Education Tableau User Group. Whether you're new and this is your first meeting or you are, been around for the last 4 years, we're really thrilled that you joined us today. We've got a packed agenda starting with announcements and then meet a community member with Tyler Weldon, who's now working for Tableau, but is formerly from the University of Alabama at Birmingham. And then we're going to hear from Sinji Yang about faculty promotion and separation path chart from Sinji's from the University of Michigan. Then Roshni and I are going to pivot and show you how to pivot a few times in Tableau Prep to get your data looking just so. And then we'll have a Tableau Conference 25 recap from everyone, whether you were there in person or watching online like me. You can share your big takeaways from the event, and then time allowing, we'll have a wrap up and chat at the end. So I'm going to open the floor for any announcements before we get into our list of announcements. If anyone has a job they'd like to share, an event, you can come off mute, you can share it in the chat, whatever works for you.
Hi, is it all right if I pop in? I'm new to this. I want to make sure I'm following protocols here.
Yes, please, Kelly, go ahead.
Wonderful. Yeah, I just wanted to chime in and say, so my name is Kelly Colby. I'm from Mercy University, which is in New York. And I just wanted to share with folks that my colleague Eldred, who I know is a regular member here who couldn't make it today, will be sharing or presenting at the AIR conference coming up in mid-May. We're actually going to be leading a workshop. So it's going to be the Monday before technically the conference gets underway. But it'll be about what we've been doing the last few years, transitioning to more of a data as a service model here at Mercy, using tools like Tableau and sharing with people, what we did, including the, technological changes, process changes, but also the cultural changes that we've gone through in the last few years and how folks can hopefully learn to adopt the model for themselves. So I hope everyone, can join if they're around, and I can put a link in the chat for the AIR conference webpage, which has all of the details. So
That would be
giving me a minute.
Yeah, thank you, Kelly. That's really exciting. AIR is a huge conference in the IR world, and I know that's a major feather in his cap to get to present a workshop at a conference like that. So yeah, definitely share that link. And if you feel like doing a reprise, maybe a shorter version for HETUG in the future, we'd love to have you too. Any other announcements before we start with our list? Because we have quite a few today. I think Christopher put one in the chat. Wrote a book. Wow. That's exciting. But that's quite a feat too. I would love to write a book. Maybe one day. All right, so we'll jump into our announcements. Analytics Day 2025 is coming up. The date is June 26th. It is going to be happening from 8:30 in the morning until 5 in the afternoon-ish Eastern time. So registration is free. It is open until June 13th. It is limited to the first 1,000 people, so be sure to register early. And we are accepting proposals until May 23rd. And did I mention it's free? This is, I believe, our seventh or eighth year. I have to go back and count of doing Analytics Day, and it gets better every year. So, the more the merrier. We'd love to have you join us. And what's so great about Analytics Day? Well, we've got the battle of the boards this year. Tableau versus Power BI is back for the third year in a row for another rematch. Which one will make the cut? You be the judge. The theme this year is a student grade dashboard. So that will be super fun. And Sam Pretty from Tableau, he is the Senior Tableau Community Learning Program Manager. He's going to be our guest speaker this year, and he's going to be talking about their Data for 10 Million initiative. So that should be awesome to hear about. And I think Roshni already kind of skipped ahead to our next big announcement. We want you to vote for our next HETUG co-lead using emojis. So if you want to vote for Nor and the dancing bird brain, then you can use a music note emoji. If you want to vote for BB, the napping poodle, you can use a sleeping emoji. And if you want to vote for Disco Duck Dolly, you can use the, wait, I'm not actually sure if there's a disco ball emoji or not, but you get the idea. We're going to post this on our Slack group too, where you can vote there as well. But if you'd rather not vote for Nor, Ann, BB, or Dolly, you could vote for yourself. You could send us an email at higheredtug@gmail.com to let us know you'd be interested in being our next HETUG co-lead. We'd be happy to talk to you more about, what's involved as far as the time commitment goes and preparation for the meetings. And so definitely, if you're interested, we'd love to hear from you. And I'll let Roshni take this next announcement.
So this is the second, maybe third time we've tried this. We're going to see if it actually works this time because me and Slack workflows, we've got a history. But we have stickers. Some of you guys who came to Tableau conference, you probably saw them at the tables in the education meetup or at the Tableau user groups booth. But we have stickers and we can send you a pile of stickers. So if you want stickers, go to the Higher Ed Tug channel in Slack, go to the workflows button at the top. You may have to press the plus button or something to get it to show up. But you should see a request HETUG stickers workflow. And if you follow the instructions there, we will get your address and then send you some stickers, and cross fingers that it works this time. Trial and error, we iterate. That's what we do here in the data world.
That's right.
All right. And now, hold on. And now, back to you, Ginny.
Time for Meet a Community Member. We are welcoming Tyler Weldon today. So Tyler, I'll pull up my notes here. Tyler is an educator with Tableau Community Learning Program, so you might even know Sam Pretty. I don't know. And he spent 10 years in Alabama higher education prior to moving over to Tableau. So we've got a few different links that we're going to share after we do our one-on-one interview with Tyler. So Tyler, welcome. Thanks for being our Meet a Community member this month.
Thanks everybody for having me. And yes, actually, Sam and I work together on the same team, so I'm very aware of Sam. He's an amazing coworker and just an amazing person when it comes to Tableau, all things data skills and everything as well. So yeah.
I have to agree. I hope you can come see him at Analytics Day too, if you have time. All right, so just to start out, you could tell us a little about yourself and your role and your team.
Yep. So again, Tyler Weldon, came from higher ed, where I spent 10 years in higher ed, 4.5 years at Auburn University, which is my alma mater as well. I have a few degrees from there, including my doctorate in adult education. So I spent a long time down there. I think I was there for I don't know, I stayed as an eternal student for a long time. Never wanted to leave the university. But then I moved to Birmingham, which is where I grew up. And I spent 5 years at the University of Alabama at Birmingham in the e-learning department. And so I was the faculty support for the entire college when it came to the LMS and all things academic technology. And that's what we'll talk about in a second, but that's where I learned all about Tableau. And so now I'm been part of Tableau for 3 years now in the academic program area, and now a community learning program manager. But I still run the Tableau academic program, which is what I can talk about here in just a bit. But our program in general is all things community learning, and so we're here to provide learning opportunities for our Tableau community and also help elevate the community as well when it comes to all the great things they're working on. If you were at TC last week, I don't know who all was there, but the Community Learning Zone, if you noticed that was my program. And so we had a few people we were able to highlight that week, a few instructors that week as well. So I was very excited about that.
That is fantastic. I was sadly not at TC, but Roshni was, and she might have bumped into you. Might have, yeah.
Yep.
So tell us, what kind of data do you work with?
Yeah, so being at the headquarters, I guess I get to be customer zero. So we get we get to work on all kinds of fun data. And so a lot of it right now, I get to do two things. So I get to work a lot of on usage data, which is really cool to see kind of where our footprint is, how our program's being used. So a lot of program evaluation, right? How is the content being used? Is it being successful? A lot of times, I was just actually about to look and see some data on our curriculum side and seeing like, hey, where's the what's being used, what's what content are people kind of gravitating towards, what are they not gravitating towards, and so that's a lot of what I get to do. But also because I am also the content developer, I get to play with a lot of fun data, which is really exciting as well. And so that's one thing I'm very thankful for. I get to play with all types of data, and so this just past year, we got to play with. We did a partnership, which I'll share about. It's on our website, but we got to do a partnership with the NCAA, and so I got to actually help curate and play with NCAA data when it comes to women's college basketball attendance, which was really, really interesting. When you get to play with this kind of data and look at it and write a story behind it and write a creative, learning opportunity for our instructors, which was fun. So I get to play with all types of data, which is I'm very thankful for.
That does sound like the most fun job possible, playing with all types of data. Yeah.
Yep, I enjoy it.
So this might kind of go without saying, but how do you use Tableau at work?
Yeah, again, going back to being customer zero, I'm in Tableau every day, which is really good. But we use it for everything. And so Tableau is great because if you ever never heard the slogan, right, it helps people see and understand their data, and I truly believe that. And so as I'm making decisions on what are we launching next for our program, where do we need to put focus, that is Tableau is at the core of all that, right? It's at the core of showing me where our program success is, and our reach, and what decisions we need to make next.
Do you have a favorite Tableau project that you've worked on?
Yeah, so I actually was just looking it back up. You can still find it on YouTube. If you type in "getting started with Canvas data," you can actually still find it. Please disregard the way I look. It was 2020 in the heart of COVID, and I just had a baby. My wife just had a baby. I didn't. My wife just had a baby, so we were in lockdown. So I went back and looked at it, and I look like a caveman because I have not been out of the house in a long time. But it was I worked. What kind of sparked my interest in Tableau was Canvas data. So the LMS Canvas. I was building data with that in 2019 and looking at what is our reach on campus and how is our usage and where we are in our LMS courses and our instructors using it, what are they using, all this great information from all this data, and then the world kind of changed, and that data went from a fun dashboard to a dashboard that was being sent to the provost and the president daily. And so it was like, wow, we're here. Like, this is how fast things can move. And I still look back at that as one of my favorite projects because it brought my love for Tableau. It brought my love for getting into the data and looking at it and validating it and making decisions and seeing its impact across a campus. And it was one of those, kind of led me to here. So I always think it's kind of that was always my pivotal kind of moment that kind of changed my career trajectory, which I'm always thankful for.
It's always good when you can map it back to where you pivoted, as we'll see in a little bit today.
Yep.
So how long have you been using Tableau, and how did you learn how to use it?
Yeah, so I've been using Tableau now since 2019. So that's 6 years. And all that was, I learned all of it through the community, through YouTube, honestly, through LinkedIn Learning, we had a subscription to that. I don't know if they still do that. It was Linda at the time, and that was one. But a lot of it was the community and then my coworkers as well. And so I was very thankful enough to have a great Tableau admin at UAB, and a lot of it was asking her questions as well, which I'm always thankful for. And then, just sourcing the community, asking, finding those people out there that can help me, not being afraid to kind of say I'm stuck and what do you think here, and getting feedback on a dashboard. I think that was always how I learned it. And then I also learned it from just jumping in. That's the beauty of Tableau, is that you can, with the minimal clicks, you can jump in and create a dashboard. Now, that doesn't mean that you may not know everything about the dashboard, but at least you can get in there, create a viz, start playing with it, and then you can kind of pick up the pieces as you go. And so the barrier of entry I always loved was small. And so I think a lot of it, was that just kind of, I'm a very big proponent of hands-on and experiential learning. And so it was one of those things where you got to get in there, get your hands on the product, start building, and then kind of piece together from there, different stuff.
I couldn't agree more. So what is your favorite Tableau feature?
Oh, favorite Tableau feature. So you don't see it anymore. I don't know if it's actually in there. I'll do two. One of my favorite features used to, I don't know if it's actually still there now with relationships and stuff, but I used to love the creating your own SQL, like adding your own SQL. You used to be able to drag it over and drop, and you could write your own custom SQL. I don't know if it's still in there anymore. Oh, you can still do it. Or I just said you can still do it. Yeah, that was always one of my favorite features, just because I worked on a SQL server, so I wanted to always do that. So that's one. I love that feature. I also love the Show Me feature. It's still just one of my favorite features, especially from a teaching perspective. I love to be able to, as I'm teaching Tableau, to be able to click that and say, okay, here's all the possibilities, right? How are we, here's the power of Tableau is kind of showing us, through VizQL, like the power of what we can possibly do here. And then kind of break down those and say, okay, cool, what does this look like? So that's always a fun one as well. Yep. But also custom SQL. I don't get to do it anymore, but I miss it. I loved when I got the opportunity to write custom SQL.
Yeah, and that Show Me pane just getting better and better, isn't it?
Yeah, it's great. I mean, there's so many great features in Tableau, but I always love that. And then a Marks card as well. I'm a big fan of the Marks card. I love teaching it. I love showing it. So anything Marks as well. So.
Right. What is one thing you wish you could go back in time and tell Tableau newbie you?
Tableau newbie Tyler, or just any Tableau newbie?
Well, Tableau newbie Tyler.
Yeah. Share more on the community. I look back on that, and I didn't, working in the Tableau community now, and that's my bigger team's Tableau community. I look back and I wish I would have shared more of my projects with the greater world. And I didn't understand what Tableau Public was at the time and what that meant. But I think I look back on that, and I'm especially during COVID, there were times where I felt like I would have loved to have had a bigger community out there. And I just, that was, I wish I'd have done that more. But I do it now, but I wish I would have done that. That was one thing. So I would say get involved in Tableau Public, share your work, share it with everyone else, put it up there. Don't, leverage public as much as you can, because it's a great resource.
It really is. So it sounds like you might use Tableau outside of work. If so, how?
Yeah, so I try. It's one of those things where, I always joke, if you're, I'm in it every day, so I don't do it a bunch at night anymore. I shamelessly find myself playing PlayStation night with some buddies, but I still love doing it. And so I love community projects. So if you see my profile, you'll see a lot of it's doing community projects. I think that's a great way for me to stay connected with the community, see what's going on out there. And so there's a couple on my Tableau Public profile that I've completed. But that's the ones that I love doing the most is our Tableau community projects.
Fantastic. Was there anything else you would like to share before we go into Tableau for teaching?
That's pretty much it as far as who I am and my love for Tableau. I know Roshni put in the chat. If you haven't already, join the Tableau Slack workspace for the community, Tableau community workspace. If you have any questions about what I do or what we're going to talk about in a second with Tableau for teaching, you can always just DM me there. And I'm always here to help. I have a strong passion for higher ed. And so it's where I spent the first part of my career at. And so I'm always here to help as much as I can because I think it's a very pivotal experience in our world. So
I love that you're on board with the pivoting puns. So tell us a little bit about Tableau for teaching.
yeah. So if you're not aware, our Tableau for Teaching program is a free program that offers renewable license for instructors and their students for an academic classroom, whether you are in any part of the world. So we don't just serve the EMEA audience. So we are also in EMEA and APAC as well. If you're at a university and you have an internet connection and you're teaching, we can give you a license. And so that license is for, again, any academic teacher. And then we'll also be able to provide a student license as well. And so that allows instructors to have a full desktop license that they can use in the classroom. We also offer the ability to have a Tableau cloud site as well. So if you're an instructor and you want to use Tableau Cloud, you can request a cloud site and you get a full cloud site for a year. That's a full, very robust cloud site. It doesn't have any of the Tableau Plus features. So you're not going to get the AI component, but you do get the basic parts of Pulse as well. So you do get Pulse, and then you can have a full cloud site. Your students can upload to it. And we can even turn on LBLM and SSO so your students can log in. And so I know most of these, everyone joining is probably more on the admin side. So if you have an instructor that has a cloud site, you can enable SSO through it as well. So you can do your university single sign-on, and they can also use login-based license management. So if they want desktop, they can actually have a copy of desktop as well. And that's good. Again, this program is for an academic course, and that's renewable, and instructors can request for each semester. And so that's our program. We also offer curriculum as well. I think we had about 14 different curriculums now that are range from different types of topics. And I have a help article I know Roshni will send out later that breaks all that down. And I think we actually have a curriculum page as well. But that's going to be full curriculum. So if you're instructors and wanting to get into teaching Tableau, we have full curriculum, 10 to 15 weeks. We have shorter courses that are leveraging Trailhead content. So think about that as like an ebook, right? So you use Trailhead to go read the content, and then you can come back to the LMS course and do some discussion-based questions and kind of facilitate the learning that way. And then we also have case studies as well. And so they all kind of pair together. So if you have an instructor on your campus that's wanting to introduce Tableau to the campus, you can do that with everything's plug and play and ready to go. And it's also built for all the major LMSs. So whether you're using Canvas, Blackboard, D2L, they're already built out and ready to go. You just have to import them in. So it's all just ready to go.
Wow,
and that's our program.
Yeah. Is this something that would be appropriate no matter whether you're like teaching an undergraduate course or a graduate course or even a continuing education for adults?
Yeah, so it works for all things. So if you're doing the continuing education for adults, we leverage a little bit different license. So we'll leverage the Tableau Public Desktop Edition because we have a Tableau for Students program. That program used to provide a license for any student outside the classroom for an entire year. We no longer offer that component, but we offer it as Tableau Desktop Public Edition now, which is a great program or a great software. But yeah, it's for we typically find that we'll have undergrads using it all the way up to MBA programs and masters as well. So it's a full suite. We find it as across the board. It just depends on where those students are in their data journey. And I also saw a question about K-12. Yes, we also offer this program to K-12. It's a little bit more complicated, right? Because of students under the age of 16. We do have to have parents' permission. But if you are in K-12, shoot me a message. because I have a good playbook for that, and it's working right now. We've got a bunch of schools in Kansas City doing it right now. We just finished up a bunch of schools at New York City Public Schools. Just ran it as well. So it is. I got a great playbook for it. It's great. It'll work, and I'd love to keep growing that as well. We've got Kansas City and Denver, Colorado are running 8th grade students right now using Tableau, and they're building out visualizations through data analytics and data science for everyone is the one of the programs that we work with. If you're familiar with data science for everyone, so yes, K-12, let's talk as well.
That is so excellent that they're getting that kind of real world exposure.
Yep.
A couple more questions in the chat. Is there a resource that shows the differences between desktop public edition and regular desktop?
Yeah, so we have if you follow our help articles, we can share those out. And then I believe, yeah, right there is a great help article. That's probably the best one. The big difference you're going to come across, I'll just say it, on Tableau Desktop Public Edition and Tableau Desktop Full is really the data source is the only thing you're really going to hit is the data source. So if you're connecting to SQL files, SQL servers, that's going to limit you, but have no fear. You can just request a course license that way, and that solves that problem. It's that and extracts. So if you're using Twibix files that are using a live connection, you'll want to make sure those are resaved using an extract because Tableau Public always uses extracts for their workbooks. But that is the only major difference you're going to come across.
And the other question is, do students lose access to Tableau Prep after their courses end?
Yeah, that is correct. Yeah. So, well, yes. If they're using Tableau Desktop, like the course license, the Tableau Desktop course license, they'll have prep to the end of the course. If you're using Tableau Cloud, that cloud site lasts for a year, and you have 100 seats on that cloud site. So in theory, if you have a student you're working with outside that class, they can keep using cloud, and they have the cloud version of Prep Flow, and so they can use it that way as well. So there's there's a couple options there depending on your engagement with your students and what that kind of partnership looks like.
That is really wonderful. Thank you so much for coming and talking to us today, being our Meta community member and telling us more about Tableau for Teaching. If anybody else in the audience is interested in being our Meta community member in the future, we are always looking for volunteers. So just reach out and let one of us know.
Yep. Thanks for having me. Like I said, I always love getting to share our program and the and what we can offer. Yep. And so I'll be around. I'll check the chat and try to answer those. But yeah, like I said, if you need any more questions, hop on Slack, shoot me a message. Let's talk. I'm happy to help.
Wonderful. Thank you again.
All right. Thanks so much, Tyler. We are going to move on and meet Sinji Yang, who is currently a senior business intelligence analyst at the College of Literature, Science, and the Arts at University of Michigan. He's got 10 years of experience in designing and developing Tableau dashboards, including for the provost, the president, and deans, and for other data consumers across University of Michigan. Is it Go Blue? Is that the right? Yes. All right.
Yes.
Very little sports knowledge in my brain. Sinji's also worked for over 15 years in report automation and has developed numerous well-received web reporting systems and data visualizations. And Sinji is here because we got a request in the HETUG meeting feedback 1 month a while ago. It took us a while to actually act on it, but someone asked, I'm jonesing for a better understanding of using paths, please. That was it. And Sinji answered the call. So Sinji was like, well, we're using paths for faculty promotion. And so here he is, here's Sinji to talk about faculty promotion and separation path using the path shells. So take it away.
Okay. Sinji Yang, I'm a BI analyst and working for the Tableau report for 10 years. Can you see my screen now? Okay, yeah. So I think there are not many use cases of the path chart in higher education. if you search online and you see this kind of chart, it's showing the motion of data from a point to another point, like a bus stop route, or the motion of the stone, or the Sankey diagram. These are all the path chart, okay? And in Tableau website, they call it flow chart or flow map, path map, because usually you put a map underneath on the background image. So we call it map, but in our case, we don't do the map, we put it on as a chart. So as this example we use in the University of Michigan, we showing the faculty's promotion and the separation from the faculty rank. And this chart we showing the faculty name and their promotion path from assistantship to associate and to professorship, and or they can be separated and departed from the university, or they can be continued, right? So we're showing their tenure clock and how long they get promoted to the professorship. Like this one had 23 years to promote from assistant to professor. Then they departed at say 1993, something like this. And this chart and here we can give you to show the active faculty only based on the reference year. So you can select a different reference year and show which faculty are continue at this moment, at this year, and do a simple summary, how many faculty are in the ranks and how many departed during these years. So this call, we create this path chart for help the department chair or the college dean to look at the faculty promotion and visualize the faculty promotion and separation. And here I just show you a simple, very simple chart and show you how to create this kind of path chart. And for example, let's look at the data behind the chart. And we have this faculty's data, and it shows the faculty's tenure clock, right? And when do they started hire as a assistant professor, then promote to associate, then finally they reach their professorship. And or if they departed, when is the day of departure, and when did they get tenure? But this chart, this data set is not suitable for create a path chart, so we need to pivot the table, convert the table to a path chart table, and we use a SQL query to unite each path position from say assistantship to associateship and to professorship, and we order it by number 1, 2, 3, and if they are departed, then we put a number 4 as here, show their status as departed, okay? And we create a data for the pivot data become a path chart data. So here, for example, this Paris Jacob, and has we have 1, 2, 3, 4 record for 2, 3, 4. I think it's should be here. Shift. So 4 record for this professor, right? And showing each status they are he is. And we use this data set to create a path chart. So this is our data source. And after you prepare the data source for the path chart, first you move for our example, we move the year to the column, and we should set it as a dimension and continuous data type, and show as a line mark type. And step 2, we put a faculty name on the row shelf. Then the chart will look like this. It will look like it go crazy. Then next step, we put a path order here. Then we format the path. We show the path of each faculty, right? Now we need to format their ranking promotion to show it. So we put it on a step 4. We try to format the data. And now we start showing their ranking and then their promotion from position to position. And next step, we make it look better. We put a second, we move the year to the column shelf again, and we format their shape and make it different shape for each position along the path, so we can see and show their label, so we can see they start from assistantship and become professor, or they start from assistantship, become associate and professor, then departure. Okay, so simply we go through this formatting, and finally we add a reference line here on the year axis, and we put a reference year here, and then we create a parameter here to show the reference year, so the reference year can shift around. So you can move the reference year, and then you can see who is active or departed during this reference year. And finally, we put it into the dashboard and have everything here. So this is the path chart. So it's pretty simple as a use case in the higher education field. And when I started thinking about what else we can use for a path chart, like I just mentioned that we can, some people can try to use it to show the bus route. So it shows the bus moving from a position to the other position. And or we can show in the student moving from a classroom to the other classroom. Okay. So that's an example of the use case of the path chart in higher education. And here I also put a simple example of the path chart that we regularly use it. So you can put a map as a background image and showing the for example, the bus route moving from a position to the other position, right? So you can see so this kind of showing the path chart. So this is a kind of path chart. And I guess that's it, unless you have any question to ask me.
I don't see any questions in the chat, but you just gave me a lot of ideas about how we could extend this beyond just faculty promotion. So I was saying earlier is in the chat, you could do something like this this chart that you're showing here for donor and alumni engagement, like who's giving, how frequently are they giving, what years are they giving in, when did they move from one level of giving to another, instead of assistant to associate to professor, it's annual giving to major giving to principal giving. Or membership on various committees, like the dean's committee or whatever you have at your university or college. And the 2D math, like path map, like that last example you showed of the bus routes, like imagine if students had access to something like that when they're trying to plan their schedules. Like, do you really have time to get from this class on one side of campus to this other class that's on the complete opposite side of campus? Does it make sense to not have lunch in the middle, or you know what I mean? Like I could see other uses of some of these ways of using paths. So this was great. Thank you so much.
As a Sankey diagram is one of the path chart, and I know the upcoming Tableau, probably 2005, they kind of including the Sankey diagram in one of the option of the chart. So you can just do a few clicks, then you get a Sankey diagram. It's very wonderful.
Yeah, I can't remember now if it's in as a Viz extension or if it's just in the Show Me, but yeah, it's a really great way to build a Sankey without needing, the complex math that you might see in Ken and Kevin Flaherlich's templates on their website or all of the hey, I need to know trig stuff. You don't need any of that, like with the new Sankey option. It cuts out a lot of the work really involved in building that out. But yeah, that was really great. We're seeing lots of great ideas for sort of expanding on what you just presented on. So that's amazing. Thank you so much for taking this very quick question. I'm just going to share the slide that I had earlier.
Welcome.
So this very quick question or statement, I'm jonesing for a better understanding of using paths, please. Like you just gave us, I don't know, a good 15, 20 examples or a starting point for that. So that's
And
amazing. Thank you.
I put this example on the Tableau public. So if you want to download my file, you can do that on the Tableau public site.
Awesome. And I just put your links in there again. So yeah, so thank you so much. That was an amazing presentation with very little much of a prompt, and you just went for it. So thank you. Go Blue. Go
Welcome.
Go Wolverines. I've been told that is the mascot. I don't know who would win in a Wolverine versus, MIT Beaver battle, but I'm guessing the Wolverine. I feel like they have claws. At least that's what TV tells me. So, all right. Thanks so much. And
Okay,
we are going
thank you.
to pivot a little bit. Did you like that, Ginny? We're going to pivot a bit.
Good.
I am not at all prepared to say what this section is about. And I have no idea which of us is supposed to do this intro. So
I am
oh,
because
you are. Okay, great.
it was my question on our Slack group. So here's the backstory. I had a spreadsheet of data. I think you can go to the next slide for this one. I had a spreadsheet of data, had one row per student per financial aid offer that they had received. And some students had one, some had two, some had 8, some had none. And next slide. I needed to change the data structure so there was only one row per student with one column per offer, but actually I needed 6 columns per offer because I needed one column with the fund code and another one with the FTYP code, one with the FSRC code, one with the amount offered, one with the amount accepted, and the last one with the amount paid. So I knew this had to be possible in Tableau Prep, but I was too deep in it. I needed outside source of information. I needed somebody else to look at it besides just me because I was trapped. I couldn't wrap my head around it. So if you go to the next slide, you can see I posted on our HETUG Slack page, which is awesome. If you're not already a member, you should be. Totally different from the Tableau Data Fam community Slack page, but they're both great. You should be on both. Anyway, I'm getting off track. So I posted on the HETUG Slack page asking for help. I said, see attached example spreadsheet. I'm trying to get the data from the format on the before tab to the format on the after tab in Tableau Prep. I don't know if it's a simple way to do this pivot. Maybe I'm too close to the problem to see the answer. I hope somebody's tackled this before and can share a solution. And so Roshni, of course, came up with a solution.
And I was in my own Tableau Prep situation. Let's just call it a situation. And I needed a distraction. I needed to clear my brain. And so I was like, all right, let me see what I can do with this. Let me clear my Tableau Prep bad juju, I guess, and try something different. So I did. And pivots were the answer. And so I'm going to show what I started with. Let's zoom in a little bit on that because I'm pretty sure that you guys can't see that Tableau Prep flow in the corner here. So I started with the file that Ginny shared. I just dragged the before file onto the, what is this, the data pane, the prep pane, whatever it's called. And I was like, okay, well, we're gonna add a rank. Like adding a rank is gonna be that first step. And there's a really easy way to add a rank. We want to rank the awards to get which award is first, which one is second, etc. To get that what we're seeing here in the version. Is that okay? It's not going to show. What we're seeing here as award 1, award 2, award 3, etc. We wanted to get that information ranked. So I started with a simple rank. So I took the award ID, I went to create calculated field, and there's this rank option. This is what gets spit out. So there's, we pick the rank, you partition it by student ID, because each student ID you want to get their awards 1 through whatever it is. And then we get what we're seeing here, which is this award number. That's the new field I created, along with everything else we had in the data set earlier. I was like, okay, well, I'll just pivot on the award number. It'll be super easy. I create a pivot. I'm going from rows to column because I'm going from this narrow data set to a wide data set. I want each of those rows to become its own column. And this is what I ended up with. So I have 1. It has, actually, I put award amount on there, but I could have put award ID. It didn't really matter what I got to here. By default, it put me at a sum. I really wanted a minimum because there's only 1 award amount per award ID. At least I hope that's what the data sample showed me. So I have all of these columns now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, that's great. I got my award IDs, sort of, or the award amounts, sort of. I need to do the same thing for award ID. So I went back in here and I tried to pivot again, and I was like, oh, well, that doesn't work anymore. I've already used up that rank order I had. What do I do? So I went back. I did a little bit of a cleaner job here. I got my award ID, same exact steps. I did that partition by student ID and ordered by award ID, and got a rank for every award. I then went an extra step and created 2 dummy fields that are only in here so that we can pivot. The first takes the word award and gets that award number. So it's just award 1, award 2, award 3. Those are some of those columns that you saw in the after set. And the other one does basically the same thing, but it gets the amount. So again, we have these dummy columns that say either award 1, here we go. Award 1 or award amount 1, award 2, award amount 2. So let's pivot. So again, I went to pivot. I want to take it from a narrow data set to a wide data set. So I'm going to pivot on award. I'm going to take the minimum award ID because again, there should only be 1 award per student per award ID. And so, we hope that all of this is right. So I pivoted and I got, oh, look, I have an award 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 columns. This is looking better. But I still also have this award amount column. And if you look at this row count, I started here with some number of rows, 14 rows, ignore the header row. I still have 14 rows here. I still have 14 rows here. I'm going to pivot one more time so I can get the award amount out. I still have 14 rows, but I have a data set that actually looks a little bit better, right? Like you can't tell here. Let me squish all of this over. Squish, squish. How do I make this hide? How do I make this go away? All right, clearly. Sorry, what am I supposed to click? How well I use Tableau Prep.
Hover and wait for that arrow to come up. Yeah. It doesn't always work for me either.
All right, well, let's pretend that it did work. And I just squished this over, but these are all award amounts 1 through 5. I've got the award 1 through 5, but you see there's a whole lot of nulls. I still have 14 rows, which I wouldn't expect, right? Like I went from a bunch of rows and I want to flatten it. I should only see like 1 row per student, but I have 5 students in here, but I have 14 rows. Something's off here. So the next thing I have to do is I have to flatten that. So I just aggregate it on the student or group by student ID. And suddenly I will go from those 14 rows to 5 rows. And I'm like, oh, hey, look, is this it? Is this what you need? And so I pass this back over to Ginny in the Slack. Ginny, what else did you have to do with this?
Well, that was a really great start and it got me headed in the right direction. But I did need to do a little bit more pivoting. In the end, I needed to have 6 total pivots. So if you'll bear with me, we're going to work through the entire example. And I say bear with me because we are going to do a little bit of repetition from what Roshni just showed you. But I want you to see the real data set, or real data set being, it's a much bigger data set. So it's 139 students instead of 5. So first we're going to do what Roshni said and create that award number using the rank calculation. I'm going to do that on the fund code. So we just go in here to create calculated field and go down to rank. So we're going to use the student ID as the group by and rank it by fund code. So in this case, there are no more than 3 awards per student. And the only reason that is because I started off with 9, which is how much there is in the actual data, but it took way too long to go through the example. So I trimmed it down to 3. I'm going to call this award number. All right, and so then that gives us, the award numbers, and we're going to do, again, like Roshni said, and create a calculated field that is the word award and a space. I like to put the space in there, and then followed by the string of the award number. And I'm just going to call this award. Gets a little repetitive through here. So now we have award 1, award 2, and award 3. Now I have to do this again for all 6 or 5 more steps that I need to pivot. So we're going to make one for the award amount offered. And I am going to cheat and copy and paste a lot of this, so you don't have to sit through me misspelling something. And the next one, we're going to have award amount accepted. And award amount paid. Just 2 more. Award type. And award source. At least I think that's what those 4-letter acronyms are for. All right, so now I've got all of those, and now we need to pivot a lot. So first we're going to pivot. We're going to change our pivoted fields to rows to columns. And we're going to start by putting award on the columns. And if you know Tableau Prep, you have to be very careful that you pull the correct field over into your columns and your rows, or your aggregate, because it doesn't like to believe it when you click on what you want and then you pull it down. So yeah, I got award number there. And so this one's to sum my award number. And that is actually not what I need. Sorry, I need the fund code. So X that out. Fund code. See, now it's trying to pull accept amount down there. I try to come all the way over to the side and pull it over. Yeah. All right, so I don't want a count of the fund code. I'm going to take the min or the max. It doesn't really matter. So that gets me 1 step closer, and then we're going to pivot again. Rows to columns. And in this case, I'm going to want my award amount accepted. It doesn't really matter what order you do this in, as long as you pair the right fields. So amount accepted, and I'm going to have the sum of that. Pivot again. Rows to columns. Amount offered. And amount offered. And we'll take the sum of that. Next pivot. Rows to columns again. We'll do the amount paid for this one. And the amount paid. Sum again. Just a couple more. We're going to pivot. And then we're going to do the award FSRC. So you'll notice I forgot to change that. Change it to rows to columns and it kicks out my FSRC. So we're gonna have to pull it over again. And then the FSRC code. And this one's going to be a min or max yet again. Doesn't matter which. And last pivot is the FTYP. And again, this one's going to be a min or a max. Doesn't matter which. All right, now we're going to aggregate. And essentially, the only grouped field I want is the ID. And I want everything else. I'm going to click down, shift and hold, and pull it over to the aggregated fields. And I find it easier to do this using the list view. So we have our ID, and then we have all of our other stuff over here. The numbers I'm going to leave as sums, but anything that says count, I'm going to change to a max. It could be min or max, doesn't matter. It's not a numeric field, and there's only one value available per row. So see, this is why I changed it from being 9 to only being 3, because this part took forever. I'm also going to go ahead and order everything the way I want here. So putting all the award ones at the top. I'm going to do that by holding down the control key and clicking on all the fields. I'm missing one. There we go. So put all the award ones at the top. And I'll just move all the 3s to the bottom. And I could get really technical and put them all in the same order, but I'm not going to make you all sit through that. All right, so now we've aggregated. And then the next step, I want to rename a lot of things. And I'm doing this because in this particular data request, they had very strict naming conventions for each of the different field names. So for all the award paids, it wanted it to be labeled AWD underscore paid underscore the number. So luckily, we have this nifty rename field feature in Tableau Prep now. Hold on. Let me go back one. Why? It's not showing me a rename. There we go. So now we can choose to replace the text in our fields with a specific text. So we want to replace anything that says award paid. And see, it highlights as we go and shows me what it's going to replace and what to replace it with. And so that will be AWD underscore paid underscore. And then you'll see that there's a space between the underscore and the number. And that's because up here where I did the rename, I didn't put a space. So I'm going to add that space now. You can see AWD underscore paid underscored the number 1, the number 2, the number 3. I'm also going to check the box that says automatically rename new fields because I run this every single week. And inevitably, new fields or new awards have been added every single week. So whereas I might have 3 now, I'm going to end up with 9 by the time it's all said and done. And instead of having to go through and select the new fields each time, I want it to automatically rename those new fields. And I'm going to click the rename button, and that applies it to everything. So we're going to repeat that. We're going to replace award, well, gotta take it off caps, accepted, space. We're going to replace that with AWD underscore accept underscore the number, automatically rename. A couple more that we're going to do. Award FTYP space, and then we'll do AWD type, and then the number. And then we have award FSRC space, AWD source, and then the number, automatically rename. And then the last one is award offered space and replace with AWD underscore offer underscore. Automatically rename. And then that got all of my awards where they needed to be with one row per student and not all of the rows per student like Tableau would like to have it, but one row per student like this particular request needed to have it. And so that being said, one last word of caution is that I do have to go in here and run this every week. And if it turns out that you have more than 3 awards the next time you run it, you're going to have to repeat all of these pivot steps, because when you pivot from rows to columns and the data updates, the rank calculation will update and the calculated fields will update, but the pivots will not automatically add those new fields to your pivot step. And trying to take it out one step at a time and put it back in gives you an error all the way down the rest of the line, and it won't actually let you redo the pivot while that error is in place. So I usually have 2 pivot rows going, and I'll just connect to one and then pivot back and forth to one or the other so that I can, redo my pivoting steps as needed. Luckily, there haven't been more than 9 in this particular example yet, so I'm able to keep using the same one over and over. But that is how, we came up with the solution for that problem and found our way to 6 pivots to get the final product.
That is awesome. So Jen asked, are you able to share that starting file? Well, that starting file, or at least the version that I shared, is in Slack. We can share the link to that message. Full disclosure, I had to find that file so that I could prepare for this, 2 hours ago. It is in the Tableau Prep Data Management channel. Let me see if I can, oh, here we go. Let me copy that link and throw it in the chat right now. Jen was thinking about the expanded version, the one with more fields, more duplication, more renaming.
So I might be able to clean that up a little and share it. It's got anonymized data, but it is actually real data. So let me see about that.
All right. So that's it for our prep. If anyone else has questions, feel free to share them in the chat. I will say the rename fields thing, I see a lot of like, holy crap, you can do that. So that's amazing. I also did not realize that was an option. So yeah, thank you for sharing all of these Tableau prep tips. So from here, what else we got? Oh, right. Tableau conference. Full disclosure, I have no idea how annoying this video is. I just stole it from the Tableau website. Please don't sue me for copyright or something, Tableau. So last week was Tableau conference. A whole bunch of us went there, at least 270 something, I believe. Maybe it was closer to 300. I don't really remember the numbers. A whole bunch of people went to the education meetup. There are a whole bunch of folks who did not go to the education meetup, but were at TC. So we know that there was a lot of learning happening at Tableau conference. So whether you attended in person or you watched on Salesforce Plus, we want to know what you learned. Like share what you learned, share sessions that you found really interesting. We're really hoping to see if we can get some of the folks who spoke. So people like Preeti, who's in the front here. I think this is actually from TC24. I think they used last year's pictures on the website. So Preeti Loader from UMass president's office in Boston. She presented on dashboard documentation, and she'll be coming to HETUG in the future to talk to give that talk. We've got a few other folks lined up as well to give their. Oh, so Matt says Preeti's session was great. I'm sure it was great. Unfortunately, it was also during the education meetup. So folks who had to make that choice, I'm sorry. We had very little control over scheduling. But Preeti's session is also on Salesforce Plus. But again, we are going to try to get her at an HETUG so we can ask questions and ask more detailed questions. And maybe also give her some breathing room because, a 20 or 40-minute presentation can go very quick when you're in it. So if anyone wants to come off mute and talk about some of the sessions they went to, some of what they learned, some of what they're looking forward to either watching on Salesforce Plus or would like to see at a future HETUG meeting, floor is open. I might start calling on people. I'm sorry if I'm calling on people. But I'm going to start with Matt Beeman, since you've been looking at the Salesforce Plus. Oh, all right. Well, Matt is now passing the hot potato to M, whose name I cannot actually remember, but I know we met.
No, yeah, it's fine. Hi, I'm Micah. Yeah, it's my Zoom name for some reason. Yes, so hi, I'm Micah. I work with Matt at UNC Chapel Hill. And I actually was trying to pull up my notes from one of the sessions I went to. And one note is betraying me and telling me I need to sign in again, of course, maybe. There you go. So I think was obviously a ton of great sessions, but a session that I went to that I didn't necessarily expect to be what it was one called Final Exam Tableau for Advanced Users. And I went in totally expecting stuff to go way over my head, thinking it was for prepping for the Tableau exams that you sit down and take. But what it actually was about this challenge workbook that somebody put up a number of years ago that was about challenging issues in Tableau that people would have to work with their clients about and how they solved it. And basically the person who was presenting, he took it and said, okay, what's kind of the newer version of doing this? How do you put it together? How do you work with the newer versions of Tableau? And then here it is on Tableau Public. Go have fun, try to solve it. And so the session was really just taking 3 or 4 of the sheets from there and saying, okay, how you try to do it, and then we'll show you how we logicked out how to do it. But it was just neat to see, and then also a really good resource to have as you're trying to level up those skills. So I would definitely recommend checking that out. And I can try and go find the workbook to put on the Slack.
That would be awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you. So I'm going to call on Rob next. I'm sorry. HETUG is open to not just higher ed, but we welcome our K through 12 brethren here as well. So Rob Kramer had his first TC presentation, which went amazingly. It was super cool. And just like with Sinji's presentation on Path, I was like, dude, I could apply this to insert 20 things here that I don't actually do, but I could do in a higher ed institution, like donor territories or relationship manager territories and advancement and things like that. So, Rob, what did you learn at TC?
I thought one of the cooler ones was one of the quick theater sessions with Sam Fife, the design hacks with mathematical functions, and I have a soft spot for those. But he really got into a lot of neat things you could do with. I'm sure a lot of us use integer division and modulo division and stuff, but some ways you can do that to kind of create almost kind of like some fake row numbers in Tableau and then lay things out like, say, bars in a grid, how instead of just having them one straight line, you can put bar graphs kind of in a grid. I thought that was really, there were so many good sessions, but that was one that kind of just stuck out to me as a little different, and it hit an area that I really liked.
Awesome. And that session is also on Salesforce Plus.
It is, yeah.
I saw it while trying to steal some videos for this slide.
20 minutes well spent.
Nice. Who else was at conference? David? David? All right, David is not coming off mute. So I did see a mess. Oh, Cheryl, go ahead.
Hi. So this is my first HETUG session. So I'm new to this. I'm not so new to Tableau, but I was new to Tableau conference. I had never been to the big conference before, but I've been in the data analytics higher ed stuff for too many years actually. But I really, Tableau is a bit of a cult, as I think we all know, right? And that kind of struck me as a little funny, but also fun part of going to Tableau conference. So I will talk about, I will mention a particular session, but I also wanted to mention this one impression that I had was because I work in public higher ed, and higher ed is different from whether public or private is just really different from private industry, I think, although I've never worked in private industry, so I'm not sure I really know. But it was very interesting to meet a lot of people who work in completely different sectors, who use some of the same tools, face some of the same challenges. But one of the things I sort of picked up is, and this may just vary across institutions too, but something that I think is different between how higher ed gets organized, especially in institutional research type offices and data analytics offices in higher ed versus industry, is that I think our roles span many different roles that exist in the private sector, where I feel like the roles that people have in managing data, architecting data, collecting it, I guess I should say, to begin with, and everything else that goes into a final product of a dashboard for your community is it feels different. Like it just feels like the roles are more clearer. And in higher ed, like most of us, I actually come from a very big office because I'm at the system office and we're a huge university. So we have a lot of personnel in our data analytics office, which is highly unusual. Some of you might even represent like one person offices. And so you're doing everything, whereas roles are more clearly defined and separated in the private sector. So sorry, it took me a while, but I wanted to make that point that I thought was different. I'd be curious to know at some point how other people organize their data analytics work. The session that stands out in my mind is, I hope I'm going to remember the name of it, but you'll remember the name of, he was a former Iron Viz champ, and he's French, and his first name is Tristan, and
Tristan Golovin from La Data Viz.
Yeah, from La Data Viz. And I really liked some of the Tableau extras, like the extensions that are being developed. And I thought that there were some really interesting and free things that we could incorporate into the way we build our business. So sorry for that long lead up.
It was a very helpful lead up, and you're totally spot on. Like a lot of us wear several hats, sometimes several dozen hats at once, in a way that often our private sector counterparts do not. I want to share one slide in particular that not only was amazing when I saw it, but also I heard while standing next to Lisa Trescott. This is from her presentation on a 6-step roadmap for impactful vizzes. This slide, people were walking by, just like walking by in the content pavilion, and they looked over, and hours or days later, they were coming up to Lisa and being like, "Dude, I saw that slide." So the impact of something as simple as a font choice, how much it can impact can affect how people are taking in your viz, and all of these other little design elements that Lisa talks through in her talk, which I believe is also supposed to be on Salesforce Plus. I don't remember if I actually saw it this morning, but I believe it is or will soon be there. That was a really great it was a really great talk, very well presented, and like Lisa killed it. So not in the bloody "you'll always be mine" font, but in the super awesome script font. And Christina, so this is Lisa Trescott. So if you go to lisatrescott.com, I believe it's the most recent blog post there, and I will put a link to that blog post. And again, it's also on Salesforce Plus, or it soon will be if it isn't already there. All right, we are running close on time. We are going to have some breakout rooms, so if folks want to stick around and talk Tableau conference or the future of what we might be able to bring back to HETUG, we will have a room for that in that chat. But in the meantime, let's see if I can smoothly go back to the slide deck. I think I did it. I think I did it. No, I don't want to watch the video again. So here we go. We are wrapping up for today. So we want to know what you thought of today's meeting. You know, at one of our questions, one of our presentations, Sinji's presentation came from HETUG feedback. So we do really look at that and use it to gauge who should we ask to come see a session, what topics are people interested in. So please leave us that feedback. The link is in the chat. We are looking for someone to present next month. So May 14th is our next HETUG meeting. We have Marie Vraub. Oh God, Marie, I'm sorry. I'm totally messing up your last name. I'm not even going to try, but we are going to get it right next time. Marie from UNC Charlotte is going to be our Meta community member. Marie is very active on our HETUG Slack, asking good questions and providing some feedback there. We again are looking for tips and tricks. Ojo Basu, who is a Tableau ambassador, presented on performance at the Tableau conference, and he's going to bring sort of an education specific data set to that presentation to us at HETUG coming up soon. And Ojo is amazing, very, very core member of the Tableau community. And if you want to present, if you want to nominate someone else to present, or if you just want to nominate a topic for us to find speakers around, please fill out the present at HETUG form. You can put your contact info down and then we'll just reach out to you and get more specifics. But we are always looking for speakers. We do have meetings lined up for the rest of the year. And we have a handful of speakers from Tableau conference as well as others lined up, but there's a whole lot of openings in that for Meet a community member, for tips and tricks, and for presentations. So always looking for speakers. There's also a bunch of sessions of other Tableau user groups and other events happening over the next, well, really the next week. And also don't forget Analytics Day. So the Analytics Tug is one of the sessions that's going to be presented is on accessible landing pages. This was another Tableau conference session along with a couple of other topics there. K through 12 TUG is having their Tableau Tuesday on algebra, equity, and access in Atlanta Public Schools on the 29th, which is next Tuesday because it's Tableau Tuesday. I can do that math. And the CCC TUG is going to have a focus on Data Vista from the California Community College's Chancellor's Office. See if you can say CCCCO 5 times fast. It's very hard even saying it 1 time fast. And again, Analytics Day registration is now open. It does cap out at 1,000, and those numbers are getting up there, I've heard. And proposals are also open. So if you have any topics for anything from, I believe, a 5-minute to a 20-minute presentation, proposals are open. Go ahead and register, and then you'll get a link to the proposal page. 908 registered. Oh, all 20-minute presentations this year. That is a change from last year. So yeah. 20-minute presentation, including Q&A, and yeah, so that is it for today. We really want to thank everyone who came to HETUG this month, to all of our presenters, to Tyler, to Sinji, to Ginny, and everyone who spoke up during and chatted about Tableau conference. So Cheryl and Rob and Micah and Matt for Slack chat comments. I feel like I'm missing a name or two, but we really appreciate all of your participation today. And yeah, thank you.